You're listening to Grace, Geltman, and Weld on the Hammer Factor. Take it away, boys.
Okay.
I got it all.
All right, welcome to Hammer Factor 33.
Wait. Season 2, Episode 1.
Okay,
I'm doing my math correctly.
Yeah. Okay, welcome to Season 2, Episode 1 of the Hammer Factor. And just so you know, if you haven't went to hammerfactor.com and checked out the show notes, we have the best show notes in the business. I have to edit these down a little bit, but
thank you.
They can't quite make the airwaves, but they get pretty close. And even if a half of this makes the website, it's well worth it. Welcome.
You get to see what we plan to put on the show and actually makes it. Because they're quite often two different things.
Yeah. We sometimes aim for a little bit more than we can actually bite off.
That's going to be true today because we have a packed show.
Yeah,
this is going to be. We're going to do 2 hours today. I think that's what I'm thinking.
This is going to be a long show.
The director's cut.
Set your cruise control and hang on. We got Evan Garcia, Russ Sturgis, and Jeff Calhoun all packed into this show. We're going to talk about Jessica Fox's run in the K1 Worlds. We're going to talk about Noria taking it home again at the Sickline. We have some Sickline talk in there. We're going to get into the East Coast Racing Series. We'll start off with some stuff about Great Falls, which happened a good bit ago, and we've been trying to make it on the show, but we haven't been able to. King of New York is going on right now. That leads into Russell Fork Race, and then, of course, the Green Race. But without further ado, I would like to introduce the Sean Hannity of the Hammer Factor, co-owner of Immersion Research and Whitewater Legend. Everybody put your hands together for Mr. John Weld.
Sean Hannity.
Whatever.
I was just fingers crossed it wasn't going to be me.
Yeah. And of course, Poker Maverick, Policy Director for the Outdoor Alliance. Sign up on the newsletter, outdooralliance.org. North Fork champion and our man on the inside. Welcome back from your policy hearings in Washington. Lewis, lead us off.
Thanks, boys. Had a nice week and a half in D.C. Last week. I feel like it's been kind of a whirlwind of work travel. But with this bill that we've been working on for some years now, finally got a hearing in the House Natural Resources Committee last week. And I got to testify at that hearing, which is my first time doing that. And that was pretty cool.
So who's on this committee?
Like you want names or what do you
want names. I want names, social security numbers, all the details.
So the chair of the committee is Tom McClintock from California, Republican, or the chair of the subcommittee. The ranking member is Colleen Hanabusa from Hawaii. Who else?
When you say ranking, that means the highest person in the minority party.
Exactly.
Okay.
It went good. Got some good questions. The other witnesses, one of the guys is the guy, Kevin Heiner, who is there testifying for the Southwest Conservation Corps, who's also a paddler and, somebody who I don't think I'd met before, but had a ton of friends in common with, and I don't know, another shit runner. So that was pretty cool.
So what's this committee do? I mean, what's their purpose?
Yeah, why are you
It's the House Natural Resources Subcommittee on Federal Lands. So they just sort of process legislation related to public lands. Why am I there? I got invited to be the Democrats' witness speaking on behalf of this bill. It was good. Kind of got into it with them on a couple things, but mostly pretty smooth sailing, mostly good support for the bill. I feel like the tenor of the conversation was a little bit like kicking the land management agencies for not doing enough to sort of streamline recreation access or whatever. That seems sort of unnecessary to me, but I guess that's where a lot of Republicans find their political bread is buttered. Went well.
I mean, do you feel you make an impact? I mean, I kind of feel like you're probably preaching to the choir of the Democrats, where the Republicans are like, well, we're going to go through this and listen to what he has to say, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's interest there in doing something bipartisan, and I think we definitely have a role to play because the Republican sponsor of this bill in the House Rob Bishop as somebody who's not been good on our issues. And so I think that there's definitely some reluctance from Democrats to working with him, and for, a group like ours, for us to be there and be saying, like, we understand your trepidation about something coming from Rob Bishop, but, substantively, this is a good bill. I think that's important.
So did you field any really tough questions?
Yeah, let's hear about the hardest moment, like the most when you were.
It's hard to
like a real gotcha.
It's hard to explain this in a way that doesn't get like really wonky and in the weeds in a hurry. But there's one piece of this bill that's about basically the fees that developed ski resorts pay for using public lands and how those fees get spent. And Outdoor Alliance is, we're currently at a bit of cross purposes with the National Ski Areas Association. And so that there was a little back and forth on that. Yeah.
Do you have to like good cop, bad cop them, or how do you?
I was trying to see if you got a 30-second version of that and not for like 7 minutes.
Well, we got absolutely zero value out of that. But are we too inside baseball here on the Hammer Factor? I mean, I don't know. Anyway, if I were to read the show notes here,
I picture you saying like, someone saying you can't handle the truth and you screaming,
that's what
you
I
want
want.
the truth, that kind of thing. No?
I mean, is there fire and brimstone, or are you just like kind of talk the way you do on the Hammer Factor?
Much more Hammer Factor than fire and brimstone. Maybe next time. Sorry.
Well, all right, let's move down. I got my sack.
Moving on.
Moving on. There's really nothing. I mean, we're not getting anything out of this, Lewis. If you want to give us some dirt, I'm all about it. But if it's all cryptic, I got to move on.
Let's talk about kayaking.
All right. So, according to our show notes here, which you got to check out, I'm eating Salisbury steak, mashed potatoes, mixed vegetables, and cherry cobbler. which is hilarious. But next item of business we have in here is Jessica Fox lays down what might be considered the perfect run in the women's K1 Worlds, rebounding from a less than perfect women's C1 run the day before. Ian Van Stoutmeister is now so deeply in love with Miss Fox he can barely stand up. The run is very much worth the watch if U.S. whitewater paddlers want to see exactly how not to catch an eddy like an American. So
Did you guys see the footage?
I did not see it. Can someone tell me about it?
Kara made my two kids watch it. That was like primetime TV for them to watch Jessica Fox's run. And then when I came home from work, they were jumping around the house screaming about it. Did you see it, Geltman?
I did see it.
Yeah. I mean, what'd you think? You have a more critical eye than I do. I think it looked great. I mean, and the men's run, obviously the men's run, the winning men's run was phenomenal as well, but there's a little more controversy there.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was epic. I don't know how you can do any better than that. I don't even know what else to say about it besides that it's a perfect run,
Right.
Did any other girls get close? What was the margin of victory there in the world?
She won by 4.5 seconds, I think.
Oh,
Which
wow.
that's a huge amount. Of course,
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I don't know. It looked pretty flawless to me.
Yeah, I mean, she is sick.
Yeah. I think in her C1 run, she was 6th, I think. Is that right? The day before? In C1? Something like that?
Something like that. C1, I mean, she's definitely hands down the best women's C1 paddler, too, I think. But
Yeah,
she didn't put it together.
Well, we need to put the link in the show notes so people can see this. And the men's run's phenomenal as well. I think it was the Czech guy who clinched it, right? But there was a penalty for the guy in front of him.
Yeah, Kauser would have won by a second and a half or more, but they gave him a touch that was impossible to see. I thought Kauser's run was much more impressive. I thought the men's race was a little lackluster compared to Jessica Fox's run.
I thought so too. That's why I mentioned it.
Now, why do you say that?
Well, I mean, Kauser could have won by 2 seconds if he hadn't had this imperceptible touch. So, I mean, it wasn't
Gotcha.
The guys who won, it just wasn't. I don't know. It just didn't seem like. It seemed like there was room to go faster. I don't know if you could have said that about when you watch Jessica Fox's run, you're not like she could have gone faster than that. And when you watch the men's kayaks, you're like, I think this guy's left a little something out there.
Interesting. We'll definitely round up those links and put them in the show notes. Another.
I mean, I feel like at this point, these guys are doing. I mean, this is maybe stating the obvious, but doing almost a different sport. The level of technique and things they're doing out there is like a different thing than what we're doing out of the river. I mean, it looks familiar. Like I can understand what they're doing, and it looks familiar, but it's a different universe of skill.
I got to check that out. I haven't seen any of that.
When you say Geltman?
Yeah. I mean, I'd say too, like looking at it now, it's like very striking to me how lame the whitewater looks. I have to say.
Oh, and the courses.
I mean, like this level of skill this guy have is unbelievably high, but it just would have been nice to. It would be nice to see the sport progress in terms of the difficulty of whitewater, and not just in terms of how fast people are going. I mean, I know that courses are getting tighter and it's incredibly difficult, and like I have the utmost respect for all of it, but I think I watched the whole men's kayak final and I watched Jessica Fox's run, but that was about it. I mean,
well, luckily there's an answer because we have the Sickline World Championships, which is the answer to your dreams and your every wishes.
Yeah.
No,
so
I'm going to save this for the rant section, that I feel precisely the opposite.
Well, let's don't give away your rant, but let's move into that. Noria takes the gold at the Sickline race by, I think, 4 or 5 seconds, a big margin as well. And it looks like out of the results here, we had 2 men made the top 16.
Two U.S. men made the top 16. And no American women made the top 5. I don't know why they had an odd ranking system for the finals and stuff.
What was the highest ranking American woman? Do you know?
That's a good question.
I don't have those results in front of me, but the question begs, are Europeans just better kayakers, or are they better at racing?
Or it's just because the event is in Europe and there's not much depth of field there.
I mean, I think there's a huge depth of field there, and I think the course, it seems like it's just so easy that it's, the times are incredibly tight. The top 10 in men's kayak was like less than 2 seconds, I think, or 2 seconds. Mm-hmm. And it's
essentially a class 4 rapid too. I mean, I wouldn't call it much more than that.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it. It's just like there's so many fast people there. The course is pretty easy. The racing is it's going to be incredibly tight by the nature of it. And you have, a lot of people who are some of the best slalom racers in the world, I mean, Alex Grimm, the, former Olympic gold medalist, was 3rd. I was impressed that Andy Ole got second, top 3 again. That's pretty.
With no racing background. I mean, Sam Sutton's a slalom racer.
I don't think so.
No? Why do I think he is? I mean, he looked like a slalom racer on the course. Nori is definitely a slalom racer.
Yeah. I don't know. It was a flat water crush to like a class 3 move, flat water crush to a class 3 move. Big props to all the athletes out there racing. There was the old controversy about the party brat not being allowed in the race kind of popped back up. There was a questionnaire that was put out to all the racers whether or not they could use composite boats, or they wanted composite boats in the future. Someone posted this picture. I'm not sure exactly where it came from. Pat put it online, and kind of, I guess, his consensus was they're thinking about allowing composite boats now, but won't the party brap. I don't know. What are you guys? What are your guys' thoughts on that little?
So I'm giving up on saving anything I have to say about this for the rant section, because I feel like we're fully into it now. But
you're boiling over.
To me, it's like what they've done is taken creek racing and then just adopted all of the worst elements of slalom racing, which is that it's on, it's like the same course over and over again, which drives me nuts, because you can't call it the World Championship if it is on the same rapid over and over and over again. The World Championship branding of it, to me, is just like infuriating. I mean, it was just, as far as I can tell, it's just some random guys decided to call their event the World Championships. I mean, you guys can call the Green Race the World Championships and have a just as good a claim on it as those guys could. I mean, it's just silly and it's obnoxious.
Well, we do have the World Championship of Attaining in Ohio Pal every year.
Yeah, that's for sure. But then, it's like they've adopted, it's like all the stupid equipment restrictions, all the arbitrary rules, all of the like pointless controversy. It's on needlessly easy whitewater. It's just like a giant corporate branding event. I just the whole thing rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah.
I mean, the level of paddling is really high, and those guys are sick. But the event. I don't know.
All right, so let's compare the Sickline to the North Fork Championship.
And what part of it?
Well, I'm just saying, how does North Fork Championship? I'm guessing you think it's a better event.
Well, I mean, I've never been to Sickline, and I don't want to I mean, obviously the depth of field at Sickline is unsurpassed, but I mean,
I kind of think my thoughts on this are the thing with the party wrap, whatever. It's the rules. Some guy made the rules. The race is the rules. It could be a bummer, but it's the same rules for everybody. I'm not sure that that's going to be the boat that's going to walk away with the gold there. But my thing is like how it's incredibly overproduced. Like the whole production is just so over the top. It kind of, I don't know. It just, I think that's where the, like you're talking about, it annoys you with it being called World Championship and all that, is that they've produced this thing like so over the top that I don't know. It's
not a roots event.
Yeah.
It's the same way I feel about that race in Vail. Although the race in Vail is even more infuriating because that one is just like awful whitewater.
Yeah, but there's only like 30 people who show up for that one. I think Sickline's certainly worthy of our discussion.
Yeah. I don't know. I should stop hating on it. I don't, but yeah.
We could have like the Nike Galaxy Championships on the green.
Anyway, I think, big props to the racers. It looks like, but I don't know, man. It just seems a little overproduced. That's all I got to say about that one. Now, should we move on to our first special guest, Mr. Calhoun?
Here we go.
And let me go ahead and say here that it's 6 p.m., 6:30 now on the East Coast here. I'm just about one beer deep, so if this show falls off the rails, you know why.
Jeff's probably been awake for several hours now.
All right, let's see if we can add people to this call. All right, and Jeff Calhoun. Jeff Calhoun is the, for at least a few years now, the organizer of the Great Falls Race. How many years has Jeff been organizing that event? Do you guys know?
Few? I don't know.
Few sounds about right.
And I believe that, Mr. Weld, you have a bit of a history with that event.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, Andy Bridge from Valley Mill Boats, we started that race in the late 80s. And when we first did it, we had 6 or 7 people race. I made the T-shirts in my basement. I hand-cut the silkscreen. And I silkscreened them myself in the basement. And I spelled invitational wrong. It was the first invitational Great Falls race, and I was dating Kara at the time, and she came over, and I was so proud, and she was like, "You idiot, you spelled invitational wrong," and I was crushed. But I'll tell you, they're black shirts with a white silkscreen on it. If you could find those, like on eBay, they're probably worth tens of thousands of dollars.
Oh, I'd buy one of those. Jeff, can you hear us?
Can you hear us? Yeah. Hang on, I'm double.
Calling in international space. I had a the Got the Guts tank top from one of the early years of the Great Falls race. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember
that was my prized possession, circa 6th grade.
That's so out of your character to misspell invitational. Well,
oh, I spelled it wickedly wrong. Listen, this is before the days of spell check and all these fancy tools we have nowadays. Simpler times.
Jeff, have you pulled it together over there?
Yeah, can you see me?
I can't see you. You may have your little there's a little button you got to click there at the bottom to enable video, but you sound good. So, oh, there he is.
All right, yeah. Sorry, I'm just figuring out. This is new to me.
That's all good. Welcome to the Hammer Factor, Jeff.
Dude, thanks. I'm stoked to be on.
Your persistence has paid off.
I want to say for the record,
about pretty much everything you guys talk about.
If you want to get on the Hammer Factor faster, the trick is to send Grace a sweatshirt.
Oh.
And then suddenly it's the most important thing is happening.
Have you guys been the Smalls of the Walls race?
I have a sweatshirt from the Upstream race.
Because
if you're interested in it.
Oh, send that my way. We'll talk about it every show.
Little does he know.
Well, Jeff is the organizer. We introduced you, Jeff. You've been a racer, kayaker, traveler for many, many years, and you have been organizing the Great Falls race for at least the past, how many years have you been organizing that race? And tell us a little bit about the event.
Yeah, thanks. I kind of drifted into organizing this race. Obviously been a competitor pretty much since I could. The race kind of changes every year because historically it's been a bunch of outfitters who are putting it on. And the ups and downs of certain people being involved, it's been kind of a struggle sometimes getting the outfitters to cooperate. And so what we've done lately is me and a couple of the guys in the area have started a nonprofit, and we now run the race and kind of use it as a platform for the outfitters to not just the race, but Potomac River Festival. And we try to bring all the outfitters in kind of on an even level to kind of bring some fairness and smooth out like the, politics of the past and all that.
So what, you got one store being like, oh, I hate that race, they're sponsoring it, and the other store's like, no, I want to get those dirt bags. So now everybody's happy?
Yeah, we're getting there, it's...
I'm just trying to set the scene here. I'm trying to...
negative about it, but one outfitter maybe doesn't want to be involved because it's another outfitter's event or whatever.
Right.
So now we have the Great Falls Foundation, which if you've ever created a nonprofit before, it's not as easy as it sounds. But I think it gives us a platform. Our mission basically is to promote whitewater events, whitewater races, and support grassroots events wherever they are. And one of the great things about our sport is that we have to adapt the event to the resource. Each river kind of has its own, the river is what it is and you can't change it. And so you have to find the best way to have an event on that river. And each of us, that has our own events, have had to do that.
So tell our listeners what is special about the Great Falls race and a little bit about the course itself, if they don't know.
Yeah, so if you've ever been to Great Falls, you understand. But for those who haven't, it's like an African-sized rapid in the middle of suburban Maryland, Virginia, and the river's just flowing along pleasantly and flat, and then all of a sudden, the mist rises and it drops into these deep cracks in the earth. And there's like a geologic fault or something going on there where you have layers that are pressed together kind of on their sides. And so the river's eroding between these layers of rock and creating these deep cracks, tall cliffs, and waterfalls up to 20-ish feet high. And the river goes from like a quarter mile wide to really narrow. And so you have 6 or 7 different channels that have different ideal flow ranges and different characteristics. So it's kind of got a little bit of big water, a little bit of creaking. It's a really unique short rapid. It only drops about 50 feet, but it's a different paddling experience than most of your East Coast creeking. So our race has always been, it's one of the oldest Class 5 races in existence. It started in 1988. I can't think of any other Class 5 races that have been going on that long. Maybe Gore Canyon. But It's historically been between 45 seconds and 110 seconds for winning times. So it's a sprint race. It's rewards kind of, historically the winners have been slalom racers, sprinters, it's a real athletic kayak event where you have to paddle really, really fast and have perfect lines and just crush it.
So tell me about you were telling me some things you had about some timing and some kind of special things that I was looking through your spreadsheet there just a little bit ago. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so the way the race is set up historically, it's changed over the years, but it's a downriver race. Start to finish, basically set the course. These are the parameters. The water levels change whether we race Maryland, Virginia, center lines, fish ladder, back canyon, bridge channel, whatever it may be. And we have kind of a chart that is, it's made by me, but it's a reflection of what the paddlers do, what we all consider to be kind of the flow ranges for each race. And that changes, year to year. The race essentially, has just happened, it's a downriver race. It's a sprint, but we want to figure out ways to make it a little more interesting sometimes. Sometimes we cut out certain rapids, and lately we've been adding slalom gates and kind of a separate slalom event to highlight the really cool features out there and some of the lines that you wouldn't get to run if you weren't, doing a downriver race. And I'm just trying to make it a really cool event, and for a race that's only a minute long, to try and make it really dramatic and exciting, and get people to have fun and want to come back and participate year after year.
Can anyone enter, or is it an invitational type thing?
No, it's we reserve the right to prevent anyone from competing. And Lewis, if you want to chime in on these details that I'm forgetting, please don't hesitate. It's a Class 5 race, and it's a very serious race. I'm sure a lot of people know. A few years ago, we had a fatality in practice a couple days before the race, and we canceled the race that year. But we raced on the center lines again the next year, and it's real out there. I've run it 1,000 times, and so it's hard for me to really keep fresh in my mind, like how, what's fair and what we should do with our race sometimes. But so I have to kind of rely on where the competitors are at and take the race where the competitors are at. And this year we had high water, or not really high water. We had a spike in the water level the day before the race. And we ended up racing Virginia at 3-4, which is on the pushy side. But we had about 40 competitors. A couple dropped out, but pretty much no one so much as missed a roll. And it never, they canceled the race 20 years ago when it was that level. And I think that just kind of shows where the paddlers are out these days. The real solid skill that it takes to run that rapid, and that all of pretty much our racing community, is really a bunch of badasses.
If I'm not mistaken, Ian Van Stoutmeister swam this year.
Ooh, let's hear about that.
Oh,
he must have missed his role.
Not in the race. No, Ian and Wyatt both did really well in the race. Wyatt got third. They had a practice run where they both forgot how to run the spout or something, and they both pitoned, I think. Or Ian bounced off the shelf and bounced back in the hole and swam.
This is a Cucumber Falls scenario.
A little different. But
so you're talking about the lines through Grace Under Pressure and below there, right, Joe?
No, we raced Virginia
spout.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Probably similar to level than when you were here, Grace, though. Fairly similar.
Okay.
Yeah, so, in the years past, Wade Harrison has come up 4 years in a row now, and he's raced on 4 different sections of river. Fish Ladder, Maryland, Virginia Center. And,
you guys ever raced the flood channel?
We haven't yet, no. Lewis, care to tell us a story though?
I've never really had any bad times at the Flood Channel, but I've only run it once or twice.
I had the first descent on that.
Did you?
Your Schlatter race
I did.
a few, like 20 years ago or so. You were telling me the other day.
Oh, yeah. There was this one year we raced during the Potomac Festival. We raced the fish ladder at it was really high, like 5.5 or something like that. And I was in a laser and I back-endered in the hole at the bottom of the third slide and kind of did a screw up just downstream of the bitch monkey.
Upstream of the bitch monkey.
I think it was just down.
Just going over it, right?
Wait, what?
Never mind. You stayed in the fish ladder channel. You didn't.
I stayed in the fish ladder channel, but there was this awesome video that somebody had taken from the Overlook Bridge with this woman just screaming like, "Oh my god!"
That's what I think of the Great Falls. Like the time I was up there, there was a lot of spectator presence.
Yeah, it's you really got to expect some very basic questions, yeah, I mean it's cool there because you're interacting with people who, it's not like the Green River Game Lands. You're interacting with people who are just out for a stroll with their kids and are not really expecting to see, crazy world-class athletes, doing funny stuff like that.
I would like to get for a lot of years that we need to have some interpretive signage up there on the Overlook, like during your stay, you may
call 911.
Yeah, you may encounter kayakers. Kayakers are a naturally occurring part of the Great Falls.
Don't feed the kayakers. Don't taunt the kayakers. Kayakers can turn aggressive at a moment's notice. Do not leave your food unattended. Do not roll down your windows for the kayakers.
Jeff, where can people find out more about the Great Falls race?
Sorry, say again?
Where can people find out more about the Great Falls race?
So it's potomacfestival.org. We're kind of rebuilding our website, but hopefully we'll be a little bit better next year. We're also launching greatfallsfoundation.org at some point. We're still. Oh, sorry, I'm getting dark in here. We're still in the building process. But what I think is really cool about what we're doing lately is the slalom event, and we're just kind of changing. Sorry,
this throw me off, dude.
Jeff's giving us a little walking tour of his house. This guy.
It looks like the power company shut off your power.
It looks like you're in a school classroom or something. Looks like the teacher should be behind you. Where are you?
Anyway, we have a different slalom course.
Are you coaching somebody's internet somewhere or something? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You're good.
So you're adding the slalom to the event, which is super cool. It gives people more runs,
right,
especially on a short course if they drive all the way up there.
Exactly. We want, it's a short race. We wanted to make it worthwhile. So now we have two races. We have a downriver and a slalom. The downriver the way it works is everyone goes and we'll take the top 10 and have them run again, because with a race that short where you have to be that perfect, I think you want to see people try and hit their lines and, do the best they can, and then take the people who can clearly, kill it and just have it all out. And every year, in the finals, people are dropping their times. And I think kind of having a format similar to that of motocross or some other skiing, some other sports where you have multiple rounds and you kind of trim the field and you kind of have to save your best stuff for last a little bit. With the slalom, I just wanted to add some different moves in there and kind of highlight the maneuvering advantage of the 9-foot kayak. The 9-foot kayak, is where we're at right now as far as boat design. But the races like the Great Falls race, the Green race, these are, 12-foot kayak races. You want to go fat. You want to be going as fast as you can and still be able to paddle class 5. But so we want to find a way, because we used to have a short boat class and a long boat class, and we want to kind of get away from that. It's you race the downriver race, you race the kayak that you want to race to go fast. But in the slalom, we want to highlight kind of the abilities of the whitewater kayak. and kind of take the race in a different direction. And, the North Fork Championship is a big inspiration. And John Grace, your Giant Slalom series in 2008 was a big inspiration for me too. Going out to Boulder Sluice and some of those places on the Little White and Hanging Gates. And I think that's, it took a while for other people to kind of pick it up, but I think I'm really passionate about that as far as, whitewater racing and bringing.
That was so fun. That was a big day out there. That was when it all changed.
Yeah.
So, Jeff, who won? Give me some top finishers. The Stoutmeister sounds like he did good.
Yeah, he's there. Wyatt got third. Aaron Mann was second again. I've won now 3 years in a row.
Whoa.
It's kind of weird to win your own race.
I'd say.
Yeah.
This is the word I'd use.
But,
I need some tips on that one.
But my involvement, on running the race is kind of more important to me now. And obviously, like, I've dreamed about winning this race since I was a little kid, but really passionate about being a part of organizing it and hanging the gates and all. As far as the racing part, I think I've always, like I said, you got to be explosive. And, I've run it a lot, so I have a little bit of an advantage. But on the slalom race, Jason Beeks won. Josh Collins from Fayetteville got second. And I think Brian Kirk was third. Brian Kirk, dude, he's so good, man. he's the only one who's in like both races like every year.
For 60, Brian Kirk looks great. I have to say, it's amazing. He's found the fountain of youth, evidently.
So, long story short, get to Great Falls Race. You're evolving it. It's just getting better. Be sure to put this race on your calendar. Jeff is a super passionate kayaker and racer, and I am definitely going to make my way up there again as soon as things settle down around my household. That's for sure.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, I think we've moved the timing of our race a little bit, but we're settling in kind of to mid-August. It's kind of a dead zone as far as other events, and we want to kind of have the that midsummer low water time frame. Hopefully, it's not too hot. So should be, just before Labor Day, a little bit around that time.
Now, real quick, Jeff, we got a lot that we're getting ready to pack into the show here, but real quick. So are you racing King of New York? And give me an update on that series in a 2-minute nutshell.
I'm the King of New York from last year.
Yes, you are. Look at you. You're running your own race. You're the King of New York.
I am.
For a limited time. I pulled it out with the Wave Hopper last year at the Moose Fest. But I did not have a good Raquette race this year. Pat Keller won both races. So it's pretty much him against Wyatt and Emmerich Blanchette for this year. I'm going to try and go up to Moose Fest and see if I can hang. But yeah, I'm out of it for this year. But I think that's going down next weekend. King of New York has been one of my favorite races to attend the last 5 years or so. It's a lot of driving, but the Labor Day Beaver Fest is just such an awesome good time. Kenny Unser has set it up so that we're all hanging out at this chill field, with lake access right at the Taylorville put-in. We've got so many cool sections around there, so I highly recommend it for those who haven't been.
Well, very good. Well, boys, do you have anything else for Jeff before we move on down the show?
I would love to respond to a couple things you guys talked about.
Here we go.
All right. You literally have got 180 seconds.
All right. So
just give me the paddle length, give us the offset, SUP, yes or no, and then move on.
So you guys are talking about the rating system, and my opinion is that you need to start using Class 6 when it's warranted. Class 6 does not mean unrunnable, and that's the way the Europeans use it. There's a lot of Class 6, being run out there, and I think you just need, that would help to give people an idea. And I think the lower Golly, by the way, is not Class 5.
You said lower Golly is Class 5.
Also, you guys had Dr. Brent Weasel on a couple weeks, months ago, and I feel like one thing that was kind of left out of that discussion was that you can come back from shoulder surgery and be better than ever. I didn't even become a pro paddler until I'd already had a shoulder surgery. And it's been so good for me. Obviously, I had to go through a lot of physical therapy, but, I've had 2 surgeries on the same shoulder, and that's my good shoulder now. And it's been really great for me. So, just felt like the thing about the shoulder was don't do it, like.
Yeah, I hope we didn't give that impression to people, because there definitely is a big place for it.
Yeah, you get a good doctor, you get a good physical therapist, you're going to come back. Just don't rush it.
A lot of military presses and got to put in the hours.
Dude, I've been preaching military presses to people for like a decade. Like,
Absolutely not.
There's no telling how many shoulders I've torn up. All right. Well, thanks for coming on the Hammer Factor, Jeff. So when do you come down to Asheville? What's your green race schedule looking like?
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to squeeze in a weekend or anything. I think it's just going to be Russell Fork race, back home for a couple days, and then I'll get down there like Thursday before the race. So that's really not ideal, but I know where I'm going. I'll bring it.
Yeah, well, I'll see you at the Russell Fork race, and levels are perfect down here, so practice will be nothing but fun.
Awesome.
All right,
Thank you,
Jeff.
guys.
Thanks, dude.
Jeff.
Take care.
All right. Now, are we going into our next celebrity guest?
Let's go. We got to keep things moving.
We got to keep things moving. Who's next?
We're rocking it. Mr. Evan Garcia, right?
All right. Let's get him out.
Is that right?
See if we can get Evan on the line here. And what is Evan going to clear up for us, Mr. Weld?
All right, let me just handle this, okay? Just let me handle this.
All right, you're on. Here we go. Evan Garcia really needs no introduction, I would say. How do you introduce Evan Garcia?
Hello.
Oh, looky there. Here we have Evan Garcia. Welcome to the Hammer Factor again, Evan.
Honored to be here.
Yep. Sorry to keep you hanging there. We got into a little bit longer than anticipated discussion with Jeff Calhoun. So,
very passionate guy. All right, Evan. First question.
Yes.
What kind of last name is Garcia?
It is Spanish. It is Spanish. And whenever I go to my beloved Latin countries, they do call me the whitest Garcia in the world.
Well, pressure's on, my friend, in this country.
Now, especially now with Donnie Trump getting evicted.
You have your papers in order?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Been here for a long time.
Okay. So here's where this begins. This begins with a rant about holding your hands too close together, right? Because Kara was judging the upper yacht race, and she came home and she said, not everyone, but many people hold their hands way too close together. And so if you know me, you know I'm basically one continuing Hammer Factor episode in real life. And so I'm calling Max Blackburn, and I'm bitching about Max Blackburn, super rep of the Pacific Northwest.
Yep.
I'm calling him and I'm bitching about people holding their hands too close together. And he says, well, I know who started this. He said, Evan Garcia started this. It's so he can lay treats. Which got me thinking, first of all, is this true or not? I have to know if this is really the case or not, because this will be soul crushing for many young paddlers out there that this is happening. The second thing is laying treats. Where did this come from? Who started it? And then we're going on to all the other terms that are getting thrown on paddling, and who better to judge these than. So let's start with hands close together.
Hands close together. I think it's interesting because I definitely did not start paddling like that, because I always paddled a bent shaft when I was growing up and all through my freestyle days. I actually didn't get into paddling straight shaft until I started to break so many of those damn AT paddles. And my little brother was like, "Here, take this." And I was in Chile and I started running waterfalls with that thing, and it was like never broke. So I just made the switch. And when I first started paddling with that like powerhouse, I definitely had a narrower grip because I never could with those bent shafts. So it felt like different and kind of cool to be able to have this narrow grip. And that was I think like 2009 in the winter, going into 2010. And that did, I mean, I think I did have a pretty narrow grip for that year for 2010. But after, racing started to come up and my style just kind of, I mean, I definitely don't hold my hands tight anymore, And but a lot of people did that,
Was there ever an association with being narrow grip to laying treats?
No, not at all.
So Blackburn was wrong on every account.
Okay, so we just dispelled a myth here.
Well, Blackburn, what he did not tell you is that laying treats was that like saying. He basically brought it to me, So we were raft guiding here on the White Salmon River. I think this is summer of 2008. And we were doing what most raft guides do, sit in a stinky house and like smoke weed and watch YouTube videos. And we had this amazing, like our favorite YouTube video this summer was this Tracy Morgan video. And he was basically like this super hilarious, princed out black dude teaching this nerdy white guy how to walk black. And
now we're getting somewhere.
This is where it came from. This is where laying treats came from. And what it was he's walking down in this mall teaching this kid how to walk black, and he goes, "This one's the Bill Cosby," and he's got his hands like forward, back. He's like, "Yeah, lay some treats on him." We were sitting there all stoned off of our faces, and it was the funniest thing in the world. And we were sessioning the Little White every day. That summer we had great water, and that's basically what it turned out.
That certainly clears up a lot. That's some Hammer Factor gold right there.
That's gold. Let's bringing it way back. I think it was 10 years ago.
We need to find this video for the show notes for sure.
I'll send you guys a link to the video. I still watch it sometimes to bring back that passion.
And so let's move on to the next kind of verbiage that's
let's just talk about some terms right now, and we need to know whether we need to let them go or whether they still have some life to them. All right. First of all, the done. Are we going?
I mean, I don't think that thing will ever be done. I definitely haven't been browning as much as I used to. There was a phase there where it was quite excessive.
Right. Did you brown claw somebody driving by with kayaks on their roof? Something like that.
Don't. I wave these days. But you know what? Honestly, that the brown claw was really like a good thing, especially in my career. Was it just like allowed me to not take myself seriously? That's the dem shit's totally spawned that thing from Borat the movie, and she just took off. Got a little viral there before viral was a word. But yeah, that thing's never gonna die. I think there's always gonna be people browning for the sake.
Geltman, I'm sensing you might disagree about this.
No, I'm on board with the brown claw still.
Okay.
As much as I ever was.
I'm not saying that,
people on the road. Somewhat ironically, but
and I'm also know what to say what's hot and what's not.
Oh, I disagree.
Yeah, that's
you may not want that crown, but you own it, and you better wear it with pride. Okay, moving along. Double church. Now, there's some intrigue here because, the double church has been sort of co-opted by the alt-right to some extent. Right?
See, now we're getting into some deep stuff that I don't even know anything about. I live in a bubble, man. Well, I think church is totally still there. You just asked Kyle Hull about that, which I actually think you guys really need to get the King of Hesh on this show.
We tried.
Agreed.
He couldn't get his Skype up to par. We're going to get him on.
Yeah. Well, I'll give him my computer for an afternoon. You guys can riff one with him because that's going to be epic.
So double church, help us out.
I don't know about the double church. That's a little.
Where did you hear about the double church? Because this is the first I've heard of the double church.
Well, there's a single church.
But
double church.
Church came to kayaking via Sam Freihofer, right?
Yep, totally.
You want to tell that story?
When was this?
Yeah,
What year was that?
Well, I think I don't actually know the true origin, but it definitely was from when Sam Freihofer and Eric Johnson and Griff were living. They're kind of actually the first young kids to move here to White Salmon and really just like totally live in a rat's nest and kayak a little every single day. I mean, their house was disgusting. It was impressive. But they lived it up, man, and they all got about 10 times better at kayaking in the winter. And I showed up. That was like, winter of 2011. I showed up here 2012 in the spring, and they were like, these amazing kayakers. And it clicked right there. It was just like, I don't want to be in Montana anymore. I'm gonna be here. I didn't even know people fucking kayaked in the winter. It was like, if you go to Chile, you're dead to me. So that's where church came from, and what? Any questions?
I heard Morelli created the double church. Like
I've never
he
heard
prototyped
of the double church.
He was in the lab with the double church for a little bit and finally released it sometime 2 years ago.
The double church. Well, I think it's time we can let that one go. We can keep it to just church.
That's jumping the shark on a good thing, I think.
Yeah, totally. It's too much of a good thing.
All right, so give us a heads up on terms we should be using.
What about yeasting? I've never heard of yeasting.
We're going to get to that. That's my close.
Well,
there's so many, like beater. Beater is a very, very popular term. And I think that I don't really remember who made that up, but Rush, he's coming on here in a second. Rush really was the one to push that into popularity, so you can ask him about that one. But I love that word.
Is beater cross-sport, or is it just a kayaking thing?
I
hear beater in skiing and stuff.
I think it came from kayaking.
I think it came from kayaking as well. I think
Rush made it up.
Kayaking. Things end up in kayaking, but nothing comes from kayaking.
Oh, that's nonsense. Well,
yeah, actually, those mountain bikers straight up copied the church. They were from Bavard,
right here.
Totally from Bavard. Yeah, they made this church video, and it was like, they were all over BDP's dick on that one.
We're gonna have to do a whole show to BDP as well.
I think you guys should. They are amazing. Get Kyle and get Griff. Griff is just, he's a plethora of knowledge and interesting insights into the deep underground of kayaking.
All right, so we have beater, and what else do we have? What else?
I really tried for a couple years to get this thing going, like loving her strong. And me and Will Pruitt, we loved her quite strong for a few months. Made the appearance on a few.
Dude,
never gained traction.
I'll get behind that one.
Yeah, yeah, man, loving her strong is a good one. It's like you can be getting beat down, loving her strong. You can be driving fast. Whatever.
It's like Aloha.
Yeah. Hello, goodbye. And I'm trying to think, man. I think that's about it. Really, kayaking has gone through. It's kind of like trends of the 90s. For kids, like Pogs and Pokemon, they get all huge and then they just kind of die.
Right. But, well, that's what we need. We need to call some of these terms from time to time, and that's when you come in, because things come in and out of fashion. We know that, and you're the one to decide.
I'm waiting for the younger generation to really step in and take my place. We're getting old now. The White Salmon crew is not not 21 anymore. Definitely. I don't know if you guys caught Rush's Facebook status update yesterday. You got to ask him about that one too. Quite good.
Let me put that on my notes for questions for Rush.
Ask him about yesterday's Facebook update. It really sparked some interest in getting old and vegan and all sorts.
All right. Okay. So we got to talk about yeasted. I could have swore I was talking to the phone one day, and you said you were getting yeasted in a whole. We're talking about skirts.
Because this is a good one.
Definitely false. This is beasted. This is 100% beasted.
That's so disappointing.
But I don't think you realize yeasted has just started. Like yeasted is now a thing. Well, I got yeasted on the green on Saturday.
You did? Where?
Yeah, right below Gorilla. I got all yeasted up.
Yeasted. It's corny.
Oh,
I knew. I had.
Is,
If that would have been true that you had said that, it would have been glorious because I was like, no way, yeasted. I've never heard yeasted.
no, Beasted. I think Beasted's been around for a long time too. That's definitely something that I didn't come up with.
that sucks. Hey, all right, I'm gonna go.
All right, enough with that. Evan, give us some Waka news. We got a Gangsta that did good out at the Adidas race. Give me some Waka. Fill our listeners in on what's going on.
Yeah, pretty sweet. I'm really stoked on those. Sam won, and Sam's pretty much off the couch at all times these days. He's running his raft company in Rotorua, and he's got 3 kids now. He doesn't really, I went to New Zealand last fall, and I think I kayaked with him maybe one day, and it was just the race day at the Kaituna. So that's what's most impressive. Sam Sutton won the Adidas Sickline, totally freaking off the couch.
He's such a beast, dude. That guy's a beast.
He's just a beast. Yeah, and he's got like the perfect mind to compete. He cares, but at the same time, he's a Kiwi. He just like doesn't give a fuck about anything.
Yeah.
So, and then Aniol pulled it off again. That's, no surprise, dude. The kid is just freaking legendary in his boat, and that's sweet. They're paddling the Gangster, and they're freaking hopefully showing people that it's just as fast as that Jackson boat. They made a huge deal about winning all the races in the Nirvana. They have, all these public announcements and everything. It's like, woohoo, good for you. It's like, yeah, you paddle a fucking 2x4 down the river and win a race. You're Dane Jackson, dude,
So what?
And that's no offense to those guys. It's like just saying he's the best, It's like,
so what do you?
Doesn't matter.
So you got the Gangsta, you got the Tuna. Yeah. What's the lineup now? What are we
got 2 new boats coming out, which are super cool, and I'm really excited about them. We have the OG, which is a remake of the original Tuna. Everybody just kept asking. We want the Tuna one, which is sick because it is still my favorite boat that Waka's ever made. And so Kenny just sat down and just cracked out this new design, and it's just pretty much a little bit bigger version of that original Tuna. And hopefully, I haven't paddled it yet, but I've heard really, really good things, and hopefully it's gonna nail it, and we're gonna have a sick freaking boat to run some whitewater in. And second design is the Stout, which, believe it or not, the Lamler family designed. They took it into their own hands and basically made a boat that they want to paddle. And it was really cool because they paid for the whole project themselves. And as soon as Sam and Kenny paddled it, they decided that they wanted to bring it into production. And the Lamlers were kind enough to gift them this mold. And so, yeah, totally. Really big addition to the Waka team over there, the Lamler family. They're just fucking legendary, paddling with those guys all summer in California. Just, mind blowing to see what those guys can pull off and do back to back every single day. So yeah, time.
So real quick before we I want to get your opinion on something we talked about here on the rating system. Did you hear our last show talking about an open-ended rating system for rapid classification?
No, I didn't.
All right, so I'm going to throw this one right on you real quick before we let you get back to it. So what if you think that, what would you think of class 5, you have like your basic class 5 rapids, like a Spirit Falls Chaos, like a Notch Gorilla, kind of your standard like class 5s. But then you have like something like Sight Z, and that's like a 5.3. And then, would you rate, Sight Z a 5.3 and Untouchables like a 5.2? And do you think it would be fun to have a classification system like that?
Well, like an open-ended system where someone could be like, such and such may run a 5.5 for the first one.
Yeah. Totally. That would be, that's freaking a sweet idea. I just feel like it's so difficult with rivers, I guess with, climbing, because they have that other kind of system that it's the only one that I know that kind of is similar to ours. There's just so many other factors other than just the difficulty, like Sight Z, you have that remoteness of it,
Oh, yeah.
There could be a rapid just as hard as Sight Z, for instance, last exit on Tumwater Canyon, when it's high, it's equally or even worse, even bigger and gnarlier than Site Z, but it's, if you swim, you'd end up in Leavenworth. So they're like in
a coffee shop.
It would be a really straightforward body recovery.
Yeah. Totally. So I don't know. I mean, I would totally endorse it, and I would love to see that go somewhere. I think it would maybe help the sport a little bit. There's just too much class 5. There's too big a window. Too broad, for sure.
I just think it would be fun to have. I think it'd be really fun.
All right, Evan, what's your high? Let's say 5.5's the top of the scale right now. What rapid is that?
5.5.
Like the hardest thing someone's been running.
Yeah.
And you can tag a level with it too, or whatever, factor whatever you want into it.
Totally. I mean, 5.5 in my opinion would be Palouse Falls or Sunset Falls, or Sven ran this thing in Norway that is just unbelievably insane. I didn't even know how he ran. He showed me his GoPro. That's some 5.5 shit. Just stuff where you're like catching eddies in caves to like peel off a 90-foot slide, and like do all this crazy shit. But yeah, I don't really know. Some of those rapids on the Indus that those boys are probably going to fire up here pretty soon. Be some 5.5s.
Anyway, it's interesting discussion. I think it'd be fun. I'm glad you're behind it. We're going to make this happen. All right, Evan, do you have anything else you'd like to add or provide our listeners?
I don't know, man. I've got a fucking book of things to talk about, but I'm not gonna get too into them. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna send you guys some questions and some of my personal concerns and thoughts about the whitewater world, because I'm glad that somebody's doing this and organizing it in a way and talking to folks like Jeff and Rush, and I actually need to go back and listen to all the shows. I've been just binging on these stupid paragliding podcasts, so I need to get reacquainted with my kayaking roots.
Yes. I can catch you up to speed about 10 seconds if you want.
So when you had like the scooter grip, you had your hands narrow, what length paddle were you using?
I was using a 200 centimeter.
Yeah.
That's the size paddle that I started using when I paddled Werner that first year. Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. There you have it. Straight from Evan Garcia. Yeasted does not exist, and Weld made that up.
That sucks, man. That just sucks.
Oh, it'll be fine. I'm gonna do some kayak trips this winter, and I'm gonna go with some really awesome characters, and I think that we can birth a few new ones out there for you guys.
All right. We can launch them here.
Yeah, definitely. Dude.
When you're ready to release something, you let us know.
We'll have a release party.
The return of Tyler Brott is coming. That's what we're doing. And we're going to do some missions. Uncle Ty.
All right, Evan. Well, you have a good day out there.
All right, you too. Cheers,
Later,
boys.
bud.
Thanks for having me. Yep.
There you go, Weld. I was hoping yeasted was a real thing because I had a big vision behind what it was.
I just was excited to hear it out on the river next summer. Like people I didn't know using that term.
Thought you were in on the ground floor.
Yeah.
I was talking about getting yeasted on the river on Saturday. So, all right, let's get into our final segment here. Let's bring in no other than Rush Sturgis.
Boom. And
while I'm adding him, Mr. Well, can you fill our listeners in on the value that Rush is getting ready, the value bombs Rush is getting ready to drop?
Yeah. Yes, I can. You caught my ear last week or so about this, a group of paddlers. They're calling themselves the Long Creek Gangstas.
Gangstas.
Right?
Yeah.
Gangstas. Sorry.
Gangstas. Yeah, this is Rush here.
Hey, Rush.
Right. Just hold on, Rush. Give me a second here. And so you were going on, and I was starting to think that they had sent you something: sweatshirts, T-shirts, like an edible flower bouquet of like fruit or something that got you started talking about these guys. Like you would not stop, and it got me. You were like, "We got to go on the show." I'm like, "Well, I don't know about that because." So much depth to that story, but I started thinking about paddling crews in general. And then I thought, I remember being at like an outdoor retailer and a young This is like back in the early 2000s. A young Rush Sturgis coming out to us and handing us a video from the Young Guns. I thought, what better person to come on and not only discuss crews, but maybe even help us evaluate paddling crews. Like, what are they? Are they a thing? Are they a joke? And then maybe we'll have a little contest. We'll see if the contest has any legs to it. All right. That's it.
All right, Rush. Fill us in.
Right on. Well, good to be back on the ESPN Sports Center of Kayaking. It's my favorite podcast.
Pleasure to have you.
Yeah, I had to put in a little bit of research because I had heard some whispers of this gang.
Right.
I actually met them last spring. A couple of them were out here and rolling with their leader, who I believe is Billy Jones. And met them at the takeout. They were clearly gang related for sure. It looked like they were like maybe 10 years old.
And Rush, what's your reaction generally when you pull up to the Little White takeout and see license plates from South Carolina? How do you feel about how the days are going to progress from there?
Well, to quote you, it's like effing green out here now. Yeah, so it really is getting overrun out here, and it's pretty annoying. But no, just joking. I had to put in a little research, and I went on their Facebook page. It says some white boys hailing from Long Creek, South Kakalaki, with the common goal of keeping Long Creek gangster, representing a river all over the world by doing some gangster ass shit. We are the Long Creek boys. If you don't like it, that is your problem.
That's my boys right there.
Yeah,
that's gold.
that's
See, I told you, Will.
You don't want to mess with these boys. That's the general vibe out there.
I mean, things have come a long way since that proposal you gave us when you were a kid. I have to be honest.
I mean, we were never disrespectful or did anything that was outlandish, and especially not gang related. Not that I can remember, anyway.
Is identifying yourself by race down there in South Carolina? Is that just kind of
Yeah. I was wondering about that. They might want to just change it to like the boys Long Creek. That might be a little more PC, a little more politically,
All right, so this is what we got to get to, because I guarantee the Long Creek gangsters are listening. I don't want them coming up in my house, so we got to give them some advice. We got to help them. So what's 3 or 4 quick tips you can give the gangsters?
Well, I mean, first of all, you got to do some gangster ass shit. Which, I mean, I've been scrolling through their videos. They're throwing down some cool stuff on the green. They seem to be wave wheeling everything, which is, that's cool. That's pretty gangster. They got the Reverend Billy Jones on their side. That's a plus. He's going to be steering them in the right direction. But all I would say is, let's see what you're made of. Let's see some real gang related shit.
So here's some gang-related shit. Okay, you ready? So one of the gangsters, Howard Magley, I mean, I don't even know where this, he's a junior. I've had to, sign his waivers and be his parental consent during events and things in the past. But he and his father are racing the green in a duo. Now that's gangsta.
That is gangster.
All right.
Oh, in the same boat.
In the same boat. Now they're both doing it individually, and then they're going to go out for exhibition class and father-son it. So that'll be the first father-son, same craft, gangsta.
It says that they're white boys though. Dad doesn't really sound like he's a boy. He's is he a gangster? I mean, I don't know if that.
I'm not sure his dad even knows the Long Creek gangsters exist, but
he's about to, because we're blowing it up here. Everyone's gonna know. On camera back here.
Hilarious.
All right, let's talk about crews of the past though, because there have been some classic paddling crews. I mean, I'm thinking right off the bat, T-Dub, maybe one of the biggest paddling crews of all time.
Who's that?
T-Dub.
Just joking.
Right, who's that? I mean, Grace, who is the member? Who are like the founding members of T-Dub?
Oh, the founding members of T-Dub. Really, it happened. So, oh man, this is tricky. So, really, we were just all a bunch of kind of rejects, I would say. And it's kind of like when Rush was talking about a rat house and whatnot. That was kind of the phase that was going on. And this was like late '90s. And who coined it was actually a guy named Brad Key. And yeah, exactly. And so we were on the Raven Fork, and we were supposed to meet with another group, and we got jangled up, and we were late, and Brad and somebody else were down there. Anyway, we finally come through, and they're sitting on a rock waiting for us, whatever, and we come through, and we're all just like, mad bombing down, trying to catch up with them because they're our shuttle. So we're getting down the river, and we come around the corner. Everybody boofs into this big pool. Right up there on the rock is Brad. And if you know Brad, he's like 6'3". He's got like big long arms, and he stands up on the rock, and just as loud as he can when everybody comes bombing down, he's like, "Team win!" And that was it. It never left. So.
But you guys had some key elements. First of all, you had videos. You had a hand signal. Right? Like the W thing.
Yeah, we had some
right?
Gangsta, yeah.
Was it an exclusive thing, or only certain people allowed in T-Dub?
No,
or is it pretty open-ended?
I think it's pretty open-ended, but you can definitely get kicked off, and if you do get kicked off, there's only 2 ways back on. I can't say those on the Hammer Factor.
Because like Dem Shit isn't really a crew. I mean, it's more like a food co-op or something. I mean, everybody's involved with Dem Shits.
It's more like
it's
like a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, the Dim Shits that you guys all know and love is not the original Dim Shits when Evan Garcia and Jared Seiler came to my office with a bunch of 25 frame per second PAL video, and we're like, dude, we got to make this video. And the first clip they show me is like people not being able to find a bathroom and taking a dump in trees. That really happened. That was the first footage. That was my first impression of Dim Shits. And see,
is that Gangsta or not?
That's Gangsta. That's what Long Creek Gangstas are doing right now. I'm telling you, they are.
That's the real path to fame is controversy, right? I mean, that's the tried and true BDP path. It's like you have to do something really obnoxious and get people arguing on the internet about you.
Yeah,
right. I mean, well, what did Balls Deep do exactly?
But we never did that.
I can't remember.
Pleasure Strokes, arguably the most controversial kayaking video of all time.
Also, arguably the best.
It's right up there, top 5.
What video was that?
Pleasure.
You got like Sang Po, Congo, Pleasure Strokes, maybe an LBM in there.
So is Pleasure Strokes? It's probably pulled from the internet, or can you find that on the dark web somewhere?
It's probably out there somewhere in the deep dark gangster underground.
We're gonna find that for the show notes here at the Hammer Factor, because Pleasure Strokes is a fine film.
Well, I want to throw out a crew that, in my opinion, at the moment is pretty heavily gang related, and that's I don't know if I'm getting their name right, but I believe it's Torrid.
Torrid, yep.
Torryd, kind of a tough name to pronounce there, boys, but I dig what you're doing.
Sound like Knox Hammock and those guys?
Yep, all bad kids. Yep, but killing it. I think really, if you look at what everybody's kind of doing right now, those guys are really at the forefront, going big and going hard. And
do they have a hand signal or no?
I think they do. Yeah, they definitely have a gang sign for sure.
Right.
I couldn't do it for you, but I have seen them flashing that around.
I'm a fan of Torrid. I like Torrid. They haven't given me a T-shirt yet, so I'm going to limit their time on the air. But
all right, let's take it back to Young Guns, Rush.
Yeah,
let's go back to the back of the rack.
That crew actually had an expiration date on it.
You're not still the Young Gun.
The Young Guns, they kind of fizzled away. I guess it's kind of evolved into to River Roots now, which is a bunch of kind of old, washed up has-beens.
We're going to get to your Facebook post here in a second.
Oh, yeah, we got a Facebook post we got to cover. And we got to talk about the canoeing trip that you and Boomer went on. Were you guys just like...
That was actually funny.
having wine at night? Was it just you and him? Anyway.
Dude, so the funny part about this mission is that, you know, National Geographic hit us up and they're like, hey, we want, you know, you guys to come and do this. You know, they thought we were like canoers because a lot of people get kayaking and canoeing confused. And they're like,
well, you both shoot the rapids.
Right, exactly. They're like, hey, you know, you guys are professionals. We'd love to have you, you know, come up, be like the filmmaker, and Boomer's kind of the talent. We sort of make this, you know, video about it, and we're like, totally, yeah, no problem. You know, like, you know, we didn't want to like not get the job by saying that we're not really neither of us had ever been in it before, like, period. And then we had our two guides who were awesome, but you know, actually like professional canoers, like it's like a thing. And we totally sucked at it. I mean, we were just like doing all the like, you know, improper stuff, like both paddling on the same side. And I mean, we shot some good rapids. We did some good stuff. Boomer legitimately wanted to fire up this like massive stout shoot thing that I wasn't. We hadn't really been in the canoe at that point yet, so I wasn't totally confident. But maybe after like the next day, I would have been ready. But no, it was hilarious, man. Super. To be honest, I actually like loved it. I want to get one for bringing down the, you know, middle white salmon or whatever. It's a shout out all the canoe guys out there. It's the real deal.
You certainly aren't a young gun anymore, are you?
Well, this leads in.
Canoe's not gangsta. I'm just gonna say that right off the bat. Not gangsta at all. But all right,
let's move from that into your post from yesterday. So I did not see this, but Evan,
well, hold on. Can we clarify one thing, Rush? Did you start the term beater?
That's you know, I feel like I might have, but you know, there's also like there's beater cars, there's beater things. I feel like it. You know, I know I can't claim that that it originated from me, but it's hard to say. I don't. Right? You know, I'm trying to remember. When I try to like pinpoint like who I heard it from first, it was kind of like I want to say it was like, you know, mid 2000s maybe we started throwing that thing around, and
you're not denying it.
I'm not denying it, but I'm not claiming it. Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, I'm sorry.
You were the first person I heard use it as a verb.
Right, beatering. It is possible. Sometimes things like that just, you know, it's like they just come to me. I just say them without, you know, really knowing whatever.
and then one last thing before we move on to the Facebook post. So I'm going to throw a contest out here. If you are in a paddling crew. This is a worldwide, international, because we have an international audience. If you are in a paddling crew, you can send your video or social, whatever that you have going on that describes your crew to Crewz, that's CREWZ at immersionresearch.com. That's Crewz, CREWZ at immersionresearch.com. And next week, we will, if we get any submissions, we're going to have Rush back on, and he's going to judge the top crew in the world. It'd be the World Championships of Crews.
Dang, that's big. That's prestigious.
All right. If we don't get any, then we're going to go right back to discussing SUP and paddle lengths.
I would like to quote Rush Sturgis. The older I get, the more I realize that no one ever wakes up in the morning and regretfully declares, in quotes, "Man, I wish I would have gone out and got super wasted last night." End quotes.
Like, and then there's you're like, man, I wish I had a hangover.
So we got hashtag old man syndrome on here, hashtag no party like I used to. A lot of responses to this post. Wow, 230. How did I miss this on my Facebook?
Probably like me.
So give us a little insight onto that post. We got to hear about this. Are you just off the sauce forever, Rush?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've gone through this, you know, transformation, and I am basically just getting old, and you know, switched to a vegan diet now. I you know,
vegan, no fish.
That's what that means. Yep.
No cheese. Do you eat cheese?
No cheese. No animal products. Period.
No
nothing. But you know, that's like a cool side thing. But you know, just staying healthy, and to be honest, you know, I still like to party, still like to hang out. But it's just like, it's one of those things. Just getting up there. Pretty soon I'll be just like you, John.
Though not gangsta.
Rush, you always been
New
gangster to
trips,
me.
clean living. Rush, do you want to shout out your sup sponsors?
Yeah, NSD, shout out. Got in a grant. Probably like
Mohawk canoes.
All right, Rush. So let's lay it out here. Let's put you on the spot. So we've mentioned both the Torrid and the Long Creek Gangstas. On a 1 to 10 scale, give me your rating of each of those two crews.
Well, you mean like between Torrid and the Long Creek Gangsters?
I mean, maybe give our people out there like an idea of what kind of things you're looking for in this contest.
Yeah, so Torrid gets a 8 out of 10. Long Creek Gangstas gets like a 10 out of 10, or however you feel.
Sure. I mean, I haven't
what do you not like? What rings true for you as a crew?
I haven't fully done all my research. I liked some of the edits I saw from the Long Creek Gangsters, which where they like mixed in like houses like burning down and stuff, and then they had an old Outkast song with fire and stuff. So that was pretty gangster. It was like destruction and mayhem, and I kind of dug that. The Torrid guys, they've got like some really cool kind of innovative edits going on, and they're legitimately going out there and running like pretty big dog stuff from the Stickine to all over. I think Brent Orton is loosely associated gang member. So you got some heavy hitters on that crew, but we're just basically looking for gangster ass shit.
There you go.
All right.
Right from the horse's mouth there.
All right, we got to close this thing up. Rush, you want to stick around for rants and raves? Do you have a rant?
But wait, real quick before we get into this.
Sorry, wait.
Can we talk about the open-ended rating system? Because I want to get like some serious heavy hitters in on this, because I think this is going to be fun. Lewis Pooper's on this. It's hard for him to even listen when we talk about this. So, what do you think? What do you think, Rush, about an open-ended rating system? So, you have Class 5. Class 5 is such a broad spectrum. You have a rapid like that's Class 5 like Gorilla, and then you have a rapid that's Class 5 like Untouchables. How do you So let's just say there's an open-ended rating system, and we'll call Untouchables 5.3 and Site Z 5.4. And so we'll just say Site Z is the hardest rapid that's ever been ran right now. It's 5.4 until somebody does a 5.5. You like that? Support that? Or doesn't sound like fun and it's cheesy?
Yeah, it's boring. I mean, no, I to be honest, I struggle with the rating system because, I feel like, it's definitely flawed as is, and I would support something like that. It's just like at the end of the day, it's so hard to compare rapids, when you have something like Size A, which is a big volume type deal, to Untouchables, like they're like in two different worlds almost, and I guess like for me, it's like, I think once you get to a certain point with your paddling, like we never like ask each other, we're like, what class is it? It's like if Evan like tells me like it's definitely a Class 5 run, or if one of the boys is like, then I know that I'm in for like some serious stuff, but we don't really like break down, in the same way that I feel like maybe an intermediate or someone who's coming up in paddling might need to know, like, is it 4+ or is it 5-, or, kind of like at a certain point it starts to like be less relevant. Does that make sense? But yeah, it's hard. It's just hard.
Yeah, that's a tricky one.
That's kind of been my take on it. Is it gets to a point where you need to use words, not just reduce it to a number.
Exactly. But that's no fun. That's no headline.
It is fun to argue about things. So,
I mean, my 12-year-old calls the Lower Gauley, West Virginia Class 2. Because he's like, it's Class 2 till something goes wrong, and then it's something else.
It's good to see you're imparting your attitude on the next generation. Well,
Jesus.
I think the thing to consider is like, there's like, I feel like Class 1 through 4, it's like that's pretty distinguishable, and then there's a whole nother world beyond that where it's like, once you're 5 and above, it's it's hard to compare. Like, I mean,
if you have to ask, you'll never know.
Yeah, if you have to ask, you'll never know.
Right. Right.
Okay. Anyway, rants and raves. Start us off, Lewis.
I have a rant.
Let's hear it.
Does Lewis have one?
I think
Your
I
rants
used
are
mine
great.
up talking about Sickline. Rush can pinch hit for me.
Okay. So it's more of like a question, because I'm trying to figure out where I stand with this. Is it okay to post up at the takeout for a run, class 5 run, and ask people if you can hop on with them?
No. Thumbs down.
But it's like it gets done so often, and it's
Yeah.
like at the end of the day, like I like showing people down the river. I'm all about it. Like I'm not trying to just go out there and like just roll with my boys. I legitimately like sharing the river, but it's like this happens all the time, when you're there. And for me, I'm like I have a hard time saying no because I don't want to be like a dick or something. But it's like I feel like people need to like understand the etiquette a little bit. Like if I've never paddled with you, it's really hard to say yes, but I do all the time, and it always, not always, but often leads to
It's a lot like coming up to like a stranger and saying, "Hey, help me move out of my house." It's just an enormous amount of responsibility you're asking a complete stranger.
Yeah.
I have a firm policy, and then it stops being personal. It's like if somebody asks me, I'm just like, sorry, man. Like I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine going to Pipeline and being like, "Hey, can I paddle out with you?"
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement on that one.
Yeah, no, it's like, it's just like, yeah, people, I guess, just really, but that etiquette is not like, and I mean, Lewis, we've had this conversation before, but, it happens on the truss on the Little White, like, fairly frequently. And yeah, it's like, it is hard to say no to people. I definitely struggle with that, but I guess I just need to start being.
Who's exceptionally good at it is Jay Gifford. He just has the smoothest delivery. Like he's just like, no.
I think it's our job to tell. It's our job to tell our listeners to be conscientious of that, man. If you're going to show up at a class 5 rapid, you need to do a little work ahead of time to line things up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like hard too because it's like it's not like I haven't been on the other end, like side of it where I've been in some other country or other place and like haven't known people. Like I've kind of like been that dude before. We probably all have to a certain extent, but I don't know. I guess it's just good for the listeners, something to think about. Like have a plan, because that's it's important when you're on the road going to new rivers and stuff.
Rush, real quick before we get on to
Right.
our other rants and
one.
raves. Rush, can you talk about this trip you're getting ready to go on yet, or is this something you're not ready to spread the news about?
Yeah, man. I'm excited. I'm starting a new movie called Legacy, and it's going to be based on Scott Lindgren and also kind of with a focus on Aniol Sarasol. So, we got a big crew and we're heading to the Indus here in a couple weeks. So we're going to be doing a 12-day descent down that, and I think it's going to be really cool because Lindgren has obviously done a ton of work in the Himalaya and invested a ton of time over there, and this will kind of be his opportunity to finish. There's kind of like 4 major rivers that flow off Mount Kailash, and so this will be he'll be the only person to have kind of completed or done most of the sections on all 4. So the movie's kind of like about that, his kind of like revival into the sport here, and him kind of going on this journey. So that's more or less the storyline, and I'll be digging into some of the California history of kayaking as well along with that.
Super interesting. Is there a place should we
That's
just
cool.
follow you on your Facebook page for that kind of updates, or how do our listeners follow along on this film's journey?
Yeah, I mean I'll be doing social media stuff, but still kind of trying to dial in the whole story and what we're going to do. But yeah, I think it's going to end up being kind of over the course of this next year, California, some BC stuff, cool to see Lindgren back on the horse, like charging super hard. He has kind of been going through this like brain tumor thing, which I don't know if everybody is aware of that, but that's kind of part of our storyline as well. But yeah, it's just been kind of an interesting process, but I think it's gonna be a fun project for sure.
Super interesting. Very cool. So I don't want to get into your trip too much, but that's pretty amazing. You've made it into Pakistan because that's just recently opened back up, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, not all of us got in. They rejected Tyler Brott, probably because his passport just looked haggard and sketchy.
I'd reject Tyler Brott as
Yeah, I
well.
would too.
I mean, are you kidding me?
Not the first time he's been rejected.
Well, cool.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's not going to make it. But yeah, we got a solid crew. We got Benny, myself, Aniol, Mike Dawson. Yeah, big crew going over. So and then shortly after that, there's another crew. Some of those Torrid boys are rallying a mission as well, just a few days after us. So so two crews going to the Indus this year. It sounds like
Very exciting. See if you can find us a 5.5 out there.
Sick.
What's that?
Yeah, we need someone to run a 5.5.
Yeah.
5.5.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, Weld, do you have I have a rave. I'm going to jump right in here with a rave.
I have a rave too, but go ahead.
I'm going to let you shut us down. You're the Rush Limbaugh of this show. I'm going to rave about Hurricanes Irma and Hurricanes Nate that have recently came through the Southeast. I know they wreaked some havoc on a lot of people, and there's definitely some horrible things, but it has been 80 degrees and everything has been running for a long time here. So I'm just going to rave about tropical storms in the Southeast. That's what I got.
Boy, that's a tough one right there. Very Trumpian.
Still.
Look, you're calling me the Rush Limbaugh of the Hammer Factor. I gotta say something. You're killing me.
All right, shut us down here, Mr. Weld.
All right, I got a rave. My rave is club boaters, the much maligned club boater. And I'll tell you why. Because I've been in the lower Gully with my kids like the past 4 out of 5 weekends, watching club boaters by the scores go down that river, and you forget that. I mean, it's so easy to beat up on club boaters and get a laugh at their expense, whatever. But first of all, they're the engine. They're the economic engine of this industry, for one thing. That's A. B, the stoke level is so high, and it makes you realize that whitewater is relative. I mean, these people are running class 4 and just as scared as if we were running something much, much, much harder. And they're achieving these, really big personal goals, and they just get beat up all the time. And I want to give a shout out to the club boater.
There you go.
Dig it.
All right, Lewis, come on, give us a rant here. Lay it out. Don't hold anything back.
You're like, I hate Mexicans.
Oh God, dude, I have food poisoning right now. I'm like looking at the clock, and I'm so stoked that we made it through this marathon session, this podcasting. I got nothing.
We can keep going, man. You guys talking about Sickline, right? Lewis?
What do you think about Sickline, Rush? You've been there.
Best race in the world. No, I'm just joking. Pretty fun. It's a pretty good time, but it's no green race, that's for sure.
Well, let's just shut down right on that one right there. All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show, Rush. And
we'll be in touch next week if we get any entries. You're you're in the email group, so you'll get them as well.
Yeah.
So there'll be hundreds of entries, I'm sure. But I'll try to narrow it down to like the top 5. How's that?
Top 50, then top 5.
Okay.
Until next time, Hammer Factor Nation, keep it gangsta.